Kia ora koutou, ko Victoria Passau tēnei. He kai whakahaere Online Cenotaph me te pātaka matapuna aho. Kia ora and welcome to Evenings with an Expert. I'm Victoria Passau and I'm Online Cenotaph and Inquiry Services Manager in the Collection Information and Access team at Tāmaki, Paenga, Hira. 2021 was a busy year for the Online Cenotaph team, updating and creating thousands of records, working on numerous transcription projects with our visitor hosts and volunteers, and working with all our researchers and contributors. This talk will highlight the accomplishments of the past 12 months. But for a little bit of background, the original Cenotaph database was established in 1996 as a database to commemorate those Aucklanders who died during World War I. Over the past quarter century, Online Cenotaph has grown to a resource of more than 250,000 records spanning 40 conflicts. It has become New Zealand's most trusted resource for sharing the stories of our service personnel, and we could not be prouder. So here is an overview of what we have achieved in 2021. Online Cenotaph relies on sourcing publicly available datasets to create and enrich our records, and this year was exceptional for data creation. This included working with visitor hosts and volunteers to describe and transcribe more than 15,000 pages of military records. The 2,600 hours of transcription provided by our staff and volunteers was the equivalent of having one staff member transcribing 40 hours a week for nearly 18 months. This data will slowly work its way onto Online Cenotaph over the next few years. A highlight of this project is that they finished describing 7,000 pages of the 17 volumes of the Royal New Zealand Air Force biographies of deceased personnel. These amazing biographies were written by the Royal New Zealand Air Force to commemorate the war dead during World War II. The microfilms have been digitised by Archives New Zealand, but individual names aren't linked, so you would sort of have to know about it to access it. We can't wait to share the list of the names with Archives New Zealand and enable more New Zealanders to access this resource. This work means that we're able to create or amend thousands of records. More importantly, it means we can continue to increase our records for Navy and Air Force personnel, and we're so appreciative of the commitment the visitor hosts and volunteers have shown in contributing to this project, especially in the stress of the level 4 lockdown. So, ngā mihi nui. In August, we hit a milestone of creating our 250,000th record in Online Cenotaph, which reflects 25 years of hard work. We increased our records by more than 11,700 in 2021, and through this project we were able to increase our naval records from 2,700 records to 7,862. This was only possible by our volunteers and visitor host transcribers, transcribing 4 lists that totaled 22,000 individuals, dating from 1922 to 1965. So we were able to create 6,700 new records for World War II, Korea, Operation Grapple, and the Borneo Confrontation. Other records that were created included 600 Air Force records, mainly for the Malayan emergency, and nearly 4,000 Korean War records for both the Navy and Army. The photo shown was added to the record of Neil Ronald Carey of the crew visiting HMNZS Black Prince in March 1956. Neil served in Operation Grapple on HMNZS Rotoiti from February 1957 to October 1957. The Operation Grapple research was about the nuclear testing where the Navy was involved, was completed by Arthur Venus and Jerry Wright, and we thank them very much for contributing nearly 500 records and boosting our resource. Every year, one of our highlights is working with our researchers and contributors who add incredible amounts of information to Online Cenotaph. Here we share our statistics from our data studio. We also share this monthly on our statistics and usage page. We love to connect with whānau, researchers, veterans to help answer questions and assist with your research and inquiries. And this year we have answered over 2,400 inquiries. And that's a 30% increase from last year. And last year was a bumper year. So thank you to Madison, who works on this solely. So good on you, Madison. So we've made more than 77,991 updates to the database in 2021. In addition to the significant work undertaken during the lockdowns, we've also worked with researchers and veterans who've provided lists and helped us to create and update records. We updated and created records for more than 2,000 service men who served during the Malayan emergency, 1948 onwards, and Malaya from 1960 to 1964. These relate to the New Zealand 1st Battalion and 2nd Battalions. These lists were compiled and researched by many of the Malayan veterans themselves, and they take real honour in being able to be the knowledge holders for their comrades. And other updates included identifying 4,900 World War II prisoner of war records. And this is quite a popular area of research and inquiry from our public. And so it was great to be able to amend those records to reflect that. So I think we probably have about 8,000 World War II prisoner of wars personnel identified, but there's always gaps. So please get in touch if you know that somebody from your whānau or in your research was a prisoner of war and we haven't identified them on their record. We have also created save searches for some of the larger data sets, including the ones pictured here. So we've created 2,700 records, or updated 2,700 records for Enforce, for those who served in Norfolk Island during World War II, 3,000 B-Force for those who served in Fiji in 1941, and they were the first. They were serving on garrison duty, and when they landed in Fiji in November 1940, they made history. It was the first time a defence force from a self-governing dominion had been sent to garrison a crown colony of the empire. So we also created, amended 1,000 records for T-Force records. And so those are the New Zealanders who trained the Tongan Defence Force in World War II and provided essential supplies and war equipment. So we've got about 35 save searches available on Cenotaph, and sometimes they reflect big data sets like these, or they list quite niche subjects, including Pacific personnel, Chinese and Indian personnel, people that you may not be able to easily search for within the 250,000 records. And again, we're happy to create lists that maybe make searching Online Cenotaph a bit easier. So just get in touch. So the last slide that I have is about the contributions that you make to Online Cenotaph every year. This year we received 19,000 pieces of data, notes and images, and we have some beautiful messages that are left on the site, but I thought that I would show you some of the photos because they're just quite evocative and lovely. So each field and section of the website can be added to by the public. This information is not moderated, but you can report information or get in contact with us. As you can tell, we receive more than 2,000 inquiries a year, so we are used to answering your questions or wanting us to amend information. We're always open to amending our information. It's a collaborative effort. We rely on the goodwill of our contributors and our researchers to make sure that we have that information right, and we're not precious about our database. We want you to be able to enrich and contribute to commemorating our war personnel. So thank you for that. So the Cenotaph database, as it was called in 1996, was launched in December of 96. It began as a digital roll of honour for servicemen and women who died on active service. The database and its physical embodiment, the Armoury Information Centre, was envisioned to provide additional information on New Zealanders' role during the war and the related scars on the heart galleries, which are still open. So Online Cenotaph in 2021 now holds more than 255,000 records spanning 40 conflicts and includes both living and deceased personnel. So and so this year we mark the 25th anniversary of Online Cenotaph, and we'll be sharing the history of the database and our public contribution in a program of events online throughout 2022. So we really appreciate all the time that a lot of our researchers have provided to us, and the work of our visitor hosts and volunteers. We can't thank you enough for the contribution you've made during 2021, and we hope to be able to and further enrich our records throughout this year and the coming few years. So kia ora, and thank you very much for attending Evenings with an Expert. Ngā mihi nui kia koe.